Good evening, ladies and gents. What a eventful day. But there's been all sorts of stuff going on here. I've been spending most of the day going through a bunch of testimony done by different IRS whistleblowers. The main one being, and I don't know how the last name is pronounced. I've heard Shapley. I've heard Shapley. To me, the way it's spelled, it looks like Shapley, but I don't know. Anyway, this is a gentleman that's been with the IRS for quite some time. He's been in the middle of an investigation with Hunter Biden since 2014. And he came forward to discuss the way that the DOJ, the FBI, all basically worked to divert and delay the investigation into Hunter Biden. It's come out today. They recovered a WhatsApp text message from Hunter to a gentleman in China named last name Zhao, Z-H-A-O, and basically saying that I'm sitting here with my father and we want to know where our money is. And if we don't get this resolved immediately, then we're going to unleash our rash. And he talked about how he was capable of maintaining a constant grudge, which is kind of crazy for an addict who has had so many people, basically treat him, like nothing ever happened with him. He's been able to use his crack addiction as a means to excuse his bad behavior, let's say. So everybody says, oh, well, you got to just let it go because it's just Hunter. He's just a crackhead. And, I've got footage of his father holding up like a coin talking about his crime bill in 94 and about how if anybody got, caught with that amount of crack, they were going to do 5 years. Well, Hunter just got out of a gun charge and 2 tax charges with nothing. So you can find this information here. This is from the Ways and Means Committee, and it's at house.gov. It's out there. This is unclassified. It's not, this isn't just bullshit. This is from house.gov. That is the House of Representatives. Okay, this is not hearsay. It's not nonsense. This is actual. I've read, Jesus Christ, I don't know. The first one that I read was the one from Shapley, however you say it. These transcripts are out there. They're redacted, of course. Why wouldn't they do that? But let me pull this up here just so everybody can see it. I don't know if you can see that or not. Hopefully you can. But we've got, this is you can see the seal up here in the left. This is legitimate stuff. This isn't just bullshit. Okay. It says the federal government is not treating all taxpayers the same, providing preferential treatment to the wealthy and well-connected, including the son of the President of the United States. Again, this is on house.gov. So, we've got, despite the fact that IRS officials recommended that Hunter Biden be charged with criminal activity that includes attempts to evade or defeat taxes, fraud, and false statements, and willful failures to file returns, supply information, or pay taxes for over $8.3 million in income, Mr. Biden received preferential treatment in the course of the investigation and has struck a plea deal that will likely keep him from behind bars. Okay, in 2014, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida announced that a man was sentenced to 13 months in prison to be followed by a year of supervised release for failing to file an income tax return. That's the same misdemeanor tax offense that Hunter Biden was charged with, but he was charged with it twice. Okay, so this guy did 13 months. Whoopee shit, big deal. It's not. Okay, the next thing they're going to say is the Department of Justice interfered in the investigation into Hunter Biden's clear tax issues with a delay, divulge, and deny. And that's exactly what they did. So you have Wolf involved, Leslie Wolf. Okay, so with the delay, we got recurring unjustified delays pervaded the investigation, including and authenticating the message between Hunter Biden and Chinese officials. Investigators were told by U.S. Attorney Leslie Wolf that there's no way a search warrant for evidence would get approved because the evidence of interest would be found in the guest house of former Vice President Biden. So she's saying, no way, nuh-uh. The next, got the triple D's here. And divulge. Investigators found out that attorneys for Hunter Biden were tipped off about actions. So this is what happened. This man went forward and said this is what they were going to do. They kind of found a back door because they weren't going to allow the search warrant to be implemented. They basically said, no, there's no way we're going to do this. And so they said, okay, well, how about we write it up this way that if in a certain amount of time this information isn't provided to us, that the search warrant is implemented. And so Wolf agreed to that. Well, then they turned around and they contacted, this is the DOJ, they contacted Hunter Biden's legal team and said, look, here's what's coming. What'd that give him time to do? Get rid of the information, right? They told him where they were coming. And, it's just crazy. This is all just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Everybody wants to talk about Trump had 102 documents. These motherfuckers have gone around the entire globe and peddled their influence. They've played this quid pro quo game with not only with China but with Ukraine. They came out with a bunch of money out of Romania. In the IRS, as much as I dislike the fucking IRS, these are people that work there that have been there for a long time, and they're putting themselves at risk because it seems like people just turn up dead that come out and do shit like this. Now they're trying to make this like it's nothing. The mainstream media won't cover this shit. Okay, they're not covering any of this bullshit because they don't fucking want to. They're in bed with it all too. Do you wonder? Now this is a different angle than most people have taken on this. Okay, but with the Build Back Better or what they referred to as the Inflation Reduction Act, which Jackass has claimed is going to reduce the deficit by 1.7 trillion, or it's not reducing anything. It didn't create anything. It didn't make any new jobs. It didn't do anything for anybody except him. But do you wonder why that implemented the hiring of 87,000 IRS agents and allocated, what was it, $87 billion to the IRS? Do you think that maybe he was paying these people off? Do you think that maybe he included that stuff? Oh, excuse me. Do you think that maybe that was put in there for any type of reason? All that extra money for the IRS? Who out there really thinks that we needed more IRS agents? I for one, don't. I'm perfectly satisfied with having 0 IRS agents, to tell you the truth. But if we're going to get into corruption and shit like that, and this is the system that we're working on, then doesn't everybody have to play ball the same way? One would think so, but it's not true. Not true. And, all of these documents, all of these testimonies, all this stuff is just, nobody wants to read it. It's right here in front of you, people. All you got to do, if you're interested at all, you go to house.gov and you can look it up. You can take the initiative on yourself to actually see what's going on behind the curtain. And this stuff influences all of our lives. You may think it doesn't. You may play the whole, I'm not into politics, I don't know why you get so wound up, blah, 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 blah. I go do my gerb. Okay, fine, go do your gerb. Go do your derb. Keep fucking getting taxed. Keep spending as much money as you have on everything, all this shit. Keep taking out fucking loans from a crooked banking system. Keep doing the same thing you've done your whole life. The same thing that your parents have done, the same thing that your parents before them, all the way down the line. To me, it makes sense to maybe question this shit once in a while. To maybe sit up for a minute, wipe the sleep up out your eyes, and look around and go, what the fuck is going on here around me? Like, what's happening? Why do I have this mush-mouthed old man shaking hands with ghosts, staggering around with a crackhead kid, and these fat fucks that I keep voting for some reason? Calling the shots in my life. It's your life, people. It's your life. And I'm not saying it's your decision, 100%. I've made the decision that I'm not going to sit here and accept this bullshit because it's all fucking lies. You have a percentage, a very small percentage, mind you, 1%. If I'm Bernie Sanders, 1% of the 10% of the 2% of the 3%. You've got these oligarchs, right? And they're global. It's not just in this country. They're all tied together. Your Klaus Schwabs and all these people that show up at these, at Davos and all this shit. These are the people that are calling the shots of your lives. Okay? Now this is the minority, right? These people. We're talking about 1%. All right? Think about that in the United States. What do we have? 332 million people according to the last census? Probably more now because we have, 7 to 9 million of undocumented people that have just come in and just kind of gone in the mix. And the Democrats want these are people that can vote. These people they have no documentation. I mean, for you and I to open a bank account, what's it take? A note from your mother, your birth certificate, your fucking ID, your recent transactions. What do you do? How do you anticipate on what kind of money are you putting into this account every month? How much is it going to be? Blah, 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 blah. They're trying to figure out whether you're laundering money or doing something illegal. It's a pain in the ass to get a bank account. But if you don't have one, how do you operate? You know, they want people that don't have ID to be able to vote. But how do you even live if you don't have ID? You need ID to do everything in this world. You need ID to do anything. To get a phone, to get a bank account, to write on to do anything whatsoever. You've got to have some kind of ID to buy alcohol, cigarettes, the list goes on and on and on. But yet, our sacred right to vote, you shouldn't need an ID. And what do they say? Because, people that are underprivileged, minorities don't often have access to identification. Are you fucking shit? What kind of racist statement is that? Every person that I know of any ethnicity, background, whatever, have ID. I mean, my 15-year-old kid's got ID. I mean, you have to have it. You have to have it. Or how do you live without it? You can't. If you're getting government assistance, be it SNAP or welfare assistance, whatever it might be. How do you cash that check? You can't go and cash a check with no ID. How do you? I mean, come on. This is just how nonsensical these motherfuckers are, and this is all coming from these dipshits in the Democrat Party. These guys are just out of fucking control, and I'm not either side. I don't give a shit. There's Republicans out there that are just as fucked up. They're all fucked up as far as I'm concerned. This shit has gone on. I mean, what I'm looking at right now goes back to 2014. It goes back further than that. It goes back, Jesus Christ. If we wanted to really start with this, I mean, we can take it back, oh, God. Where would I start if I wanted to start with, where the corruption started? I guess you'd start with, centralized banking, but it goes back before that. I mean, it goes back to basically the inception of this country, quote unquote, the corporation of the United States of America, because that's what it is. If you want to do your homework on that, you can. Go look it up. Go look up the Organic Act of 1871. It takes you to do the work on this. I'm not going to do it for you. It's up to you. Either you wake up or you go back to sleep or you just stay asleep. I don't give a shit. It's not my call. What I'm doing is trying to present the information so that if you are so inclined, rather than spending your Friday night down at the fucking amateur night down there at whatever shithole bar, you happen to go frequent, trying to do whatever, pick up, some kind of fucking disease, you can keep doing that. However, if you're so inclined, maybe you sit down for a second and you do a little bit of reflection and you think about, well, what the fuck are we doing here? What's going on? Why am I here? What is my existence all about? Do you ever ask yourself that? Like, what the fuck does it even matter? Because I'm just going to die anyway. So what am I doing? Why am I here? Am I here to learn a lesson? Am I here to figure something out? Why do I feel like I've been here before? Anybody ever ask yourself that question? Or do you just blindly fucking just stumble along in the dark, blindly just doing whatever you're told? It seems like that's the majority of people. You just blindly do what you're told because out of fear of the retribution that Big Brother's going to give to you, it's easier just to accept what you've been told your whole life and just keep on doing it. That you have to get a mortgage, that you have to get married, that you have to have, certain kids. You got to have this type of job. You got to go to college. You have to go into debt. You have to have good credit. Does anybody know what credit is? I don't think so. Does anybody know what debt is? I don't think so. Why are you told that you have to be able to have good credit? You got to be able to borrow money. Why did they want you to borrow money? Huh? Ask yourself that. Why are you told that you have to have good credit? That you got to be able to borrow money. I mean, if you can't, then how are you going to live? Because they don't make a job available to you that's going to allow you to pay for things straight up. Why do you think the cost in housing and vehicles? Look back into like the 70s and shit. You could buy a brand new truck for like $3,000. You could get into a fucking 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for, what, 25, 30 grand? Now what's it going to cost you? $500,000. Who's got that? Not to mention the taxes. They outrageously tax you. Okay, so here's what we're talking about. We're talking about a crooked president and his son who are doing this quid pro quo shit, which they accuse Trump of doing. Now, the documentation of that conversation is out there for everybody to read as well. Will anybody read it? I doubt it. Because most people are fucking stupid. And I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. Most people are fucking stupid. Where do you fall? Are you stupid? Are you beyond help? A lot of you are. And I hate to say that, but a lot of the people that I talk with, they get this blank stare on their face when I start bringing any of this shit up. They look at me like I'm some kind of fucking conspiracy theorist. Well, good, maybe I am. Because look how many conspiracies have turned out to be true. Here's one that's turning out to be true right now about your president. The people that supposedly 81, 82 million of you fucking idiots voted for, allegedly. I've not really talked to many people that would say they did. Now, I don't really ask people who they voted for. I don't give a shit. It's their business. To me, that's private. I don't vote. I can't vote. But even before I couldn't vote, I didn't vote. So it didn't really make a difference that they took my voting rights away from me. Even though the way I look at it is I'm probably more informed than 98% of the morons that do show up at the polling place. I'm sorry. I hate to insult anybody if I am. But you're welcome to sit down and have a debate with me about anything. I don't care. I'll talk to anybody about anything whatsoever. If I'm wrong, you show me where I'm wrong. I'll say, thank you very much. You're correct. I was wrong. Wow. Now you've helped me out. That's the way I look at it. I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm not. I'm just a dumbass. I'm a useful idiot, and that's it, But I also am willing to have a conversation, to speak. I want to get better, And if that means that I have to, that I need to be corrected in my ways of thinking, then so be it. That's how a person does get better in life. You don't get better by just everybody telling you that you're right all the time. What good does that do? It does no good. And you've got all these people that have gone to this college and that college, and they're they've got this condescension about them. That basically the people that are in power, and they lie about it. You got like your Joe Biden, right? He lies about where he graduated or where he graduated in his class, and come to find out, he was in the very bottom of his class. And as far as I'm concerned, he still is. Now, how in the hell did they allow him to even run? It's crazy that he ran for president so many times and he had to, withdraw for lying, plagiarizing, all these different things. He's never done anything other than lie. His history, his past is full of lies, deceit, and bullshit. He made up a story that his wife was killed by a drunk truck driver. That ruined that guy's life, the truck driver. He wasn't drunk. She pulled out right in front of him. Why may that have happened? There's speculation on that. Maybe look into it. Maybe look into everything that you think is true. And I'm not saying just go and blindly fucking go follow QAnon or some shit like that. I'm saying maybe do a little homework into things. You've got the world of information right at your fingertips. Everybody's got one of these, right? Everybody's got one of these fucking devices. I mean, you've got the recorded history of mankind on this. Now, some of it might be wrong. You have to go to different, a lot of times you have to look at different perspectives. You can't just go to something that's sponsored by the DNC or something sponsored by the GOP and blindly just believe that to be true. You have to also, you can't just pull something up and just the first thing that pops up, read that and think that it's true. You do have to do a little bit of critical thinking, number one. If something pops a flag in your mind, you have to say, why did that happen? Why do I got a gut check about this? So, let's go back to, we're going to talk about IRS because we have Gary Shapley, right? He was the whistleblower, number one, that came up here. And I'm going to see if I can't get into his testimony. It's 212 pages, mind you. It's a very it's a long read. There's a lot of it that. Here we go. A lot of this is just them. Now this is, of course, all the names are redacted. But we got the majority council, saying a good morning. Gary Shapley, I guess we'll say Shapley, okay, because there's no E after the P. We've got Chairman Jason Smith, right? He's been, the one that's been on top of this. So they're basically saying, they're asking for his name. They're, letting him know that if he's, in fact, perjuring himself, if the things that he's saying turn out to be false, that, he's in a lot of trouble. Just telling everybody to allow everybody to speak and don't interrupt, that way that, they can, transcribe it all. It says, okay, here we go. Witnesses that knowingly provide false testimony could be subject to criminal prosecution for perjury or making a false statement under 18 U.S.C. 1001. Do you understand, Mr. Shapley? Yes, I do. And then, is there any reason you're unable to provide a truthful answer to today's questions? There is not, from Mr. Shapley. And finally, from the majority council, I'd like to note the information discussed is confidential. As an IRS agent, I know you understand the significance of our tax privacy laws, blah, 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 blah. We take this seriously, and And what else we got here? Basically just saying that, listen, you're telling us the truth. If not, these are the consequences. And Shapley agrees, yes. Have you had access to return information that you believe may relate to possible misconduct, maladministration, or taxpayer abuse? And Shapley says yes. And they ask, do you want to disclose this? And he says, yes, I do. So then they go on to say what the consequences are if he's disclosing false information, and what the repercussions might be. So this man has voluntarily gone in. They're reading this stuff to him. They're saying, listen, this is what's going to happen if what you're telling us is false, if this is not true, and that's not good. This means this guy's like done. This dude is a family man. He's got kids. He's got a wife. He's really, I mean, from what I've heard from him, a lot of what he's doing is trying to give his kids an example of what it means to be an upstanding and honorable individual, which Mr. Biden obviously hasn't done with his children. I mean, look at Hunter. And I think that at the end of the whole thing, I think that what you have is Joe Biden. He acts like a fucking bumbling, stumbling old man, but this is a diabolical dude that's been doing this shit. Like, you go back and you watch the testimony of Tara Reid when she was working for him and what he did to her. She's not lying. This man did this shit. How many other females did he do this to? Why is he always sniffing little girls' hair? Talking about his hairy legs and kids crawling, how he likes kids on his lap. This dude's a creep. He's a straight creep, and he's a fucking liar. He's been a liar for 50 fucking years, I mean, and before that. I mean, he got where he's at because he lied. He's lied about every fucking thing, and he plays it off like he's, just good old Joe. He's a con man. He's very good at what he does. He's been very good. He figured out, I guess probably in high school he figured it out, that if he acted like a fucking bumbling dipshit, that people would just fucking, he's just dumb old, let him through. Come on, let him into the party. He's harmless, But underneath of it all, the guy he's been very conniving. Okay, so Shapley starts off explaining who he is, supervisory special agent with the IRS criminal investigation. Okay, he's been there since July of 2009. All right, so he's been there now 14 years. And served as a supervisory special agent or acting assistant special agent in charge since April of 2018. Goes on to talk about he grew up in New York, never thought he'd be in this type of position. All the awards that he received from the Department of Justice. In 2022, he was a senior leader, assistant special agent in charge of the Chicago field office, and received the highest performance rating available that year as outstanding. He said he was planning to go to a new position in headquarters for an international collaboration of foreign tax organizations that I was picked to help set up and operated since 2018. led, planned, executed undercover operations and or search warrants in over a dozen countries, investigated and managed some of the largest cases in U.S. history and of the history of the agency, recovering over $3.5 billion for the U.S. government. Okay, I'm not too impressed with that because I don't necessarily like the tax man. And then he says, since October of 22, IRS has taken every opportunity to retaliate against me and my team. I was passed over for a promotion for which I was clearly most qualified. The special agent in charge and assistant special agent in charge of the Washington, D.C. field offices have sent threats to the field office suppressing additional potential whistleblowers from coming forward. So basically they've said, listen, no more. If you want your job, you're going to shut up. Senior leadership has been made aware on a recurring basis that the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office and the Department of Justice was acting improperly. They acquiesced to a DOJ request to remove the entire team from the Hunter Biden investigation, a team that had been investigating it for 5 years. So he's been investigating this thing for all this time, and they basically told him, you can fuck off. And this pretty much came through this Leslie Wolf. Look for her to come up. She'll probably be coming up, I'm sure. She'll probably be coming up into some kind of a cabinet position, who knows what, for all her fucking lies. She basically shut this guy down every step of the way. He was like, look, this is not right. What they were trying to do was push all this investigation on Hunter Biden. They wanted to push it back to where statutes of limitations kicked in, and then it had no weight, which is what they successfully did. And that's why Hunter the other day was able to plead guilty to those 2 misdemeanor charges and then get a diversion for his gun charge, which means he can still have a gun. All he has to do is not fucking test dirty for 2 years. Well, really? Okay, so who's going to go give him the piss test and come out and say he failed? Whoever is going out to give him a UA, even if it does come back dirty, it's not going to be released. That person they don't want to lose their job. The guy making what's a piss tester make? 50 grand a year, 60, I don't know. Not enough that they don't want to lose their job. Because if they come out and say that Hunter was dirty, well, they're going to get smeared. These people belong in prison. They have played the system the entire way here. And this goes back to, this implicates Obama. And you can't say that, the whole system is implicated here. This is not just an isolated incident. This has gone on for a long time, people. You're under the impression that the United States is some kind of, has some kind of moral high ground. It doesn't. It's a corporation. It's a crooked, dirty, filthy business full of creeps, cretins, child molesters, and bullshit con artists. That's all they are. I don't care what side of the fucking fence you're on. It doesn't matter. Both sides of the fence are shitty. And if you're going to ride the fence and you're going to say, lesser of two evils and all this, you're dumb. You're stupid. There's no lesser of two evils. There's evil and there's good. There's right and there's wrong. You can't play both sides. And you can't sit here and talk about, the necessary lies and this. No. This corporation is responsible for more deaths. Look at what happened to fucking Iraq. Look at what's happened in Libya. Look at what's happened in Syria. Look at what's happened to Afghanistan. Are Afghanistans, are they any better off than they were before we went in there and just fucking ruined their fucking whole country? It used to be a pretty progressive and a liberal place. A lot of people went there back in the day. Look what happened with Iran. We stuck our noses in there in 1953, and look at Iran. Now they're our enemy. Well, we were the ones who did that. We did that. We went in there and started an upheaval. Look at what we've done in Central and South America, in Panama, in Venezuela, Nicaragua, all these countries. And when I say we, I'm not talking about you and me personally. I'm saying we as a collective involved in this whole corporation because, like it or not, you're part of the corporation. If you have a birth certificate, you're part of it. And when you have a child and you sign the birth certificate, you are making your child a corporation unto themselves and a corporation involved with the U.S. government. The Constitution now says it's not a constitution for the country. It's for D.C. And it makes the United States government a corporation beholden to Great Britain. Why do you think that Freudian slip came out of fucking Joe Biden's mouth the other day when he ended his fucking speech with "God save the Queen," man? That wasn't just him just spouting random old guy shit that just came up off the top of his head. That's what they call a Freudian slip. He knows who he's beholden to, and the IRS is beholden to them as well, which that's a whole nother thing in itself. But when you read through these 212 pages from this man, this dude is putting his ass on the line, coming out and identifying himself. He's one of the few that has identified himself, and his face is out there. So why would you do that if you weren't telling the truth? I mean, this man, he's got conviction. You know what I mean? Like he's seen this go on, and he's trying to show his kids, even if they take him out, that hey, this is how you live your life. Our father was honest. He was direct. He was he didn't get bought off by this corrupt bullshit. I mean, every step of the way, you read through this 212 pages, and you can skim through it too. I mean, every single section of this. I mean, I'm going through it again. I've been going through all of these all day since last night. And I mean, it shows you exactly, and this comes through the IRS, which is just as serious an organization as, I mean, it's all tied together. The FBI, the DOJ, the IRS. But they're basically shutting, this is one of their top guys, and they're shutting him down. I mean, every time he requests something, they're telling him no. I mean, this WhatsApp message, okay, I'm going to read this. And this is Shapley's, his testimony. I'm going to read it verbatim here. It says, for example, we obtained a July 30th, 2017 WhatsApp message from Hunter Biden to Henry Zhao, where Hunter Biden wrote, I'm sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight. And Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I'm sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Okay. This is his dealings overseas that Joe Biden said he never had anything to do with. He's sitting there with him. Now, they're going to try and play this off. This is what they're going to do. Mark my words, because all this has come true. I said that they were going to indict Hunter, and it was going to be they were going to come after him for a shitty little gun charge, and then these shitty little tax charges. What did they do? 2 misdemeanor tax charges, and they allowed him to get a diversion on the gun charge. They don't do that. The U.S. government doesn't do diversion on gun charges. I didn't fucking brandish a gun, point one at anybody, threaten anybody with a gun. I walked in on that happening. I got 2 gun charges. They told me, well, Mr. File, you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Great. Thankful somebody finally recognizes that. Are we talking like probation? I'm sitting here like begging for probation, right? Which I shouldn't have, I mean, my only fault was trying to get out of a bad situation. That's the only thing I did wrong. I should have just, I don't know. I didn't know what to do at the time. When you're put in a position like that, you just try and get out of it, and, your instincts kick in, and I was like, we got to go. I knew it was going to get bad, and it did. It got bad quicker than I thought it was going to. I mean, I was sitting there thinking about how am I going to, I'm sitting there at that point going, God, I got to ditch my fucking truck. My only possession that I have, I just got fucking laid off because of the fucking 2008 crash, right? I didn't have a job, no chance of getting a job. I mean, I had the last bit of money in my pocket, I mean, I was doing whatever, I made some bad decisions. I admit that. I've taken responsibility for it. I did my time. Whatever. But I mean, to be told that before you go in to get sentenced by the assistant U.S. attorney that's prosecuting you, tells you, well, you were at the wrong place at the wrong time. And great, we're talking about probation, maybe 12, 18 months, something like, oh, no, I got to get convictions. I'm coming at you for the full 60 months. Jesus, talk about getting kicked in the nuts. Right before I got to walk in and sit in front of a federal judge. Put yourselves in that position. Now look at this fucking guy. This guy's got shit out there. He's walking around a house butt-ass naked. He's got a fucking firearm that he obtained from faking documents to get it. Right? That's a felony. That's 5 years right there. He's got his finger on the trigger. Who knows who's in the room? He's butt naked, wandering around. He's high on God knows what. His gun ends up in a fucking dumpster that's full of trash, loaded, next to a grocery store across the street from a hospital. And his mistress / dead brother's widow is the one who took the firearm from him, because she shows up. And at the time, I believe he was telling her that she needed to go get tested for a HIV test. She takes the gun, goes and throws it in the dumpster across the street from a high school. Now, Mr. Biden here comes out and says some shit the other day on Twitter about how the Congress needs to vote the way he wants them to on gun control, or perhaps we need a new Congress. He always wants to talk about democracy. He doesn't understand, apparently, that Congress is supposedly, allegedly, there to represent the people, which for the most part they don't do. You have a handful of them that are even worth a fucking shit, that have conviction, that have, the intestinal fortitude to stand up and say this is fucking wrong, and they get laughed at, they get made fun of by the mainstream media. You got a gal like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, those two. I'd say, hey, put them on the fucking ticket in 24. You want to break the glass ceiling and get some women in charge? Those two that you get, they're funnier than hell, and they don't give a shit. They say what they're gonna say. Hey, if I voted, I'd vote for them. Marjorie Taylor Greene has come out and spoken the truth, the whole bit of. You could say whatever you want about her. You don't like, she's brash, she's blah, 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 whatever. Say whatever you like. She's right. She's calling this bullshit out, and she's not afraid to do so. Same with Lauren Boebert. You say whatever you want. They've made up stories about both of them. If they were Democrats, they'd be, the media would be, oh gosh, you're so look at these fine women. Oh my goodness. But no, they're on the other side of the fence. They're Republicans. So, they're going to trash them, right? That's the double standard, right? The media can sit there and suck the farts out of the buttholes of all these fucking, these women that are on the fucking left, and sing their praises. But wait, what's the difference? They're both women, right? I mean, wait a minute. What kind of double standard is that? You've got idiots like Maxine fucking Waters saying, inciting violence. She's outright incited violence. Boebert and Green haven't done that. They're fiery. They've stood up and yelled and screamed and they talk shit. Good. Somebody needs to. Because there's no men out there that are fucking willing to do so. I guess you could throw, Gates is willing to stand up and speak his mind. So is Hawley. Thomas Massey, he's a little more diplomatic about things, but he also will say it how he will speak his mind. I got respect for him, for basically all of them. Old Chip Roy, and you've got Grassley and Johnson. There's a number of them. Rand Paul. But you look on the other side of the fence at these shithead Democrats. I don't know that there's too many of them that I have any kind of respect for. That Jerry Nadler, kick his front butt and waddle away. How do you keep voting for him, New York? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get how these people keep year after year, election after election. Who are they? Who are they sucking off here? In the American people, I gotta just wonder about, the general consensus in my mind is that 98% of you people out there are fucking idiots. You just go in and just vote. It's my God-given right. It's sacred. You're just making it worse. Every time, every election, you just make it worse. So, and you don't even realize it. That's the sad thing, is you don't even realize it. You just put your sticker on and I voted, and you go back to work and you fucking prance around and tell everybody who you voted. Big fucking deal. I go around and ask people, okay, you voted for so what's their policy on this? I don't know. Why? Why would you vote? Well, presidential elections. Why did you vote for Trump? Well, it's better than having Hillary. Why did you vote for Hillary? Well, it's better than Trump. Lesser of two evils. When does somebody sit back and say, if I'm given a choice between evil and evil, and who is giving me that choice? That's what you got to look at. Like, who's making you make that decision? Ding, ding, ding. If you ask yourself that question, maybe you're on the path to actually, thinking a little bit. Because the things that you think that are a choice that you're allowed to make aren't really a choice, are they? When you're told that you have to make a decision between this piece of shit or that piece of shit, you're still making a choice to take a piece of shit. Here's your 2 shit sandwiches. One's on wheat bread, one's on rye. It doesn't matter what the bread is, because what's in the middle is still shit. So you're sitting there and you're willingly making an agreement that you're going to eat some shit. So any of you out there wearing your colored hats and your bumper stickers and this and that and the other thing, you have eaten a shit sandwich. Is it tasty? Is it tasty when you go to the grocery store and you're paying twice the price for whatever it is you're buying? Is it a great choice when you live in a small town like where I live and you have a choice between fucking Albertsons, which is now owned by Safeway, or you go to Walmart, where you can save yourself a few bucks? I never used to shop at Walmart. I refused. But Albertsons is so fucking far out of control. I can't afford that shit. I can't even afford a fucking Walmart. Who can? Who has a good time going to the grocery store these days? Anybody? Raise your hand. Let me know how great it is to go to the grocery store. Let me know how great it is at the gas pump. That's a lot of fun, isn't it? Shit, 25 gallons of diesel fuel the other day, $128. That was nice. When I was filling my whole tank for $75 with Trump in office. I could go to wherever I wanted to as far as grocery stores. Now, you watch $100 bill, it's gone. Most people don't have the money to afford a $400 medical emergency. And what kind of medical emergency even costs $400? Shit, a visit to the fucking urgent care to get your kid a prescription for fucking throat or strep throat. That's just to go out there, just to get a fucking prescription is going to cost you like $300. When you can look down a kid's throat, take a flashlight, and you see all the red blotchy shit, and you go, fuck, he's got strep throat. And then you go out there and you spend $300 on that for them to stick a fucking thing up their nose, and then come back and tell you, yeah, he's got strep throat. And you're like, yeah, I knew that before I came in, genius. So then they write you a prescription, and you go get the prescription filled, and that's going to cost you another $50 to $100 to give them antibiotics. And the antibiotics mean that they're going to get through the strep throat just as quick as they would without the medication. But it means that they're going to be susceptible to it the next year. That's why, hey, parents, you ever think, why does my kid get strep throat every fucking year? My kid hasn't had it since, guess when? Since when I took the antibiotics and I shoved them in the back of the fucking drawer and I gave him a fucking placebo. And guess what? He recovered from it quicker and he hasn't had it since. How about that? Hasn't had it since. I've never had strep throat. Never. I'm 47 years old. I've never had strep throat. Why is that? I got the COVID twice, but I haven't had the second time. I took the thing that unthinkable, even though it was a prescription, and I got shut off of this and everything for saying it. But within a day, I was fine. So there's all these different testimonies that have come out. One good thing that happened was that the Republicans in the House, they censored Adam Schiff. Now, I'm not all about censorship, but I'm also for shutting the fucking town crier, the village idiot, shut the fuck up, Chicken Little. Like, Adam Schiff is Chicken Little. The sky is falling. He lied to the American people. He had all this, that, the other thing, and he never came through with any of it. All he did was sit there and tell lies. And then he comes out and says, well, I take this as a badge of honor. It means I'm influential. They don't censor you unless you're Hey, idiots in California, if you vote for him and you put him in Dianne Feinstein's fucking seat in the Senate, you suck. If you vote for this guy, you're a bunch of fucking morons. If you think that Adam, and then they were trying to, what's his name? McCarthy was announcing, that they had, decided to censor him. And all the fucking Democrats in the fucking House chambers are yelling, shame, shame, shame. It's like, can't you come up with something better, you fucking morons? I mean, good, great. You watched Game of Thrones. Good job. Every time McCarthy would start speaking, that shame, shame, shame. A bunch of morons. You should be ashamed of yourselves for thinking that Adam Schiff shouldn't even be in office. That's another problem here. We've got these people that are elected. These are the worst people on the planet. These people are terrible people. They're not good people. They're shitheads. They're shithead, village idiot, town crier morons. They went to college and they've got the funding from somebody apparently to run for these seats. I mean, it costs. I mean, look up how much it costs to get a seat in Congress. And you want to say that this is representative government? You or I can't go and run. A seat in the Senate's going to cost you, what, $10 million to start with? Who's got that kicking around? And then you have to know the people that are influential enough that you can get that money from. Because you can't just cough it up yourself. It's got to be shown that it came from donors. So that means you got to get in bed with people, right? So nobody's just going to give you money for nothing. I mean, somebody's going to give you $1 million for your campaign. They want something in return. They're not just trying to throw that dough at you and be like, here you go. You know, go do what you're supposed to do. No. It's pay to play is what that is. You understand me? When the average man or woman can't throw their hat in the ring to run for a congressional seat, whether it be in the Senate or the House of Representatives, when your normal person can't do that, how's that democracy? How's that any? It's nothing. It's oligarchy is what it is, and it's pay to play, and that's what we've got here in this country. I don't know when you people are going to realize this. And when I say you people, I'm talking about everybody. I'm not singling anybody out. The majority of people I talk to have no clue. It's a rarity, a very rare occasion that I run into somebody that has any fucking idea about what they're talking about or what I'm talking about. I don't care if they disagree with me. At least if you disagree with me, at least you're thinking. And I can respect that. But when you give me a blank look, just fucking, oh, I don't pay attention to that. I don't know. I just go and fucking stumble. What? No clue why anything's happening to them. No clue, what wars we're in. This country has been at war for all but, 17 years of its existence? Why is that? Why? Why do we have so many homeless people? Why do we have, it's crazy. Why do we have kids shooting each other? You have a generation coming up, this Generation Z, you talk about disaffected kids that, they don't want to work. What motivation to work? To go get a job? Doing what? Doing nothing. Bullshit. To go sit in a cube for 40 hours a week? Who wants to? Why? What is the point? To fill out your shitty paperwork? Eat your cheese sandwich at lunch? Yes, sir. No, sir. Your way through life? Then get to retire when you're blue-haired and too old to enjoy yourself? You miss your kids growing up. You fight with your wife over money because you work too much and you don't spend enough time with her. But if you don't work that much, then how's she going to get the shit that she wants? She's got to work too. So the kids are just shuffled off to fucking, to the education system, which is bullshit. The state's raising your kids. Look at the shit they're being taught. They're having, Pride Month in schools. There shouldn't be any of that shit. There shouldn't be any, differentiation between people. People are people. To have these months where they're denoted to this, that, and the other fucking thing. It's dumb. Like the NFL needs breast cancer day where everybody wears pink. Everybody knows that breast cancer is a thing. And then it's a horrible thing. So is prostate. All cancers are. It's the foods that we eat that are being stuffed down our throats that are causing this. Look back in the day. Look at, go back and look at history. Go look at some statistics about, cancer. Yeah, cancer's been around. Look into it, though. I'm challenging you. You got to look into these things. Everybody just accepts everything blindly. And just sit back and accept it all. And it's, and if you question it, then you're a conspiracy theorist and you're just a nutbag and you belong, on some, outlandish TV station or something. They shut you down when you say anything on this fucking YouTube. They shut you down when you say anything anywhere. If it doesn't coincide with the narrative that they want you to fucking profess, then all of a sudden you're a conspiracy theorist. But go back and look it up. I'm challenging you. Look up conspiracies over time that have proven to be true. You'd be surprised. Everybody wants to talk about how Alex Jones is a fucking windbag and this and that. Yeah, and he's very he's loud and he says shit that you just go, whoa. But look up the shit that he said. Look up gay frogs. Look up human, animal-human hybrids. Look it up. I've gone through and picked his stuff apart, and it's like, I mean, there's truth in everything. I mean, a guy might say crazy and yell and holler and say outlandish shit, and but he gets shut down. Why? It's not the same reason Adam Schiff gets shut down. Adam Schiff's just a fucking liar. I mean, it's been proven over and over again. Yet somehow he still gets to get up there and talk. I mean, he was able to to sit there and lambaste the whistleblowers. It's like, why is this guy allowed to do this? This guy he's coming at these people, talking to them like they're telling lies when he's the biggest liar out there. That fucking idiot. God, I don't wish to be violent towards anybody, but I would sure like to have a minute in his face. I wouldn't do anything towards him, but I would like to have just give me a couple seconds with that guy to have a conversation. He'd be walking away with his head down, not saying a fucking word. I can guarantee that, and I wouldn't put a single fucking finger on him. Although I'd sure like to pop his head like a zit, but, that's not me. That's not how you settle things or solve things, I mean, you resort to that type of thing when you're pushed up in a corner and somebody's threatening you or your loved ones or somebody else that's unable to defend themselves with, some kind of physical harm. There's a time and a place for that. You don't just go out and do that, You can be capable of being violent, but it doesn't mean you have to act on it. It's better to use your words. But that's what they're doing, though. They're shutting that down. Your ability to use your words, to use your reason, your rationale, to be able to have a verbal argument, to have a difference of opinion with somebody. Now all of a sudden, if you have a difference of opinion with somebody, you can't talk about it. It turns into name calling and this goofy rhetoric, and then you get shut down because you think differently. You get shut down, which is, to me, that's crazy. I mean, if somebody has a thought, about that's completely fucked up. Somebody's got a racist, homophobic, ridiculous fucking point of view. Shouldn't that be easy to refute verbally? I mean, if you're allowed to let somebody speak vitriol and some stupid, fucked up shit, if that's what it is, if it's stupid, fucked up shit somebody is saying, shouldn't it be a slam dunk to be able to make that person realize that what they're saying is ridiculous? I mean, that's what this is, that's what the First Amendment is supposed to be about, right? You can say whatever you want. But I also have the ability to say what I want back to you. So if you're saying some dumbass shit that doesn't make any sense, that's just backwards and silly and stupid, and if it's that backwards and silly and stupid, shouldn't I be able to make you look, stupid? Shouldn't I be able to refute what you said and maybe not even make you look stupid, but maybe just give you the opportunity to recognize that what you're saying is incorrect? Maybe you put it away to where you can say, that other person can say, oh, I've never looked at it like that. I guess you're right. You don't have to belittle people. Everybody everybody says stupid shit. I said stupid shit. I continue to do so. But if you call me out on it and you tell me, hey, this is why you're wrong, and you go, oh shit, I never looked at it that way. You're right. Thank you. I mean, that's what reasonable people do. And we all realize we've all said stupid shit over our lives. Anybody out there who's not said something stupid, raise your hand. I've said all kinds of stupid shit. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not denying that. That's how you learn not to say more stupid shit, is by somebody saying, hey, dumbass, you step back for a second, You're not looking at this right. And you go, oh. I would encourage you all to get on house.gov and look up some of these testimonies. And this Leslie Wolf just keeps shutting this guy down. This guy is putting his whole life on the line by doing this. And you want to talk about somebody that's a hero. I would say this guy's an example of that. And yeah, he's with the IRS, and I don't have, I don't hold the IRS in the utmost of esteem. I don't at all. But this guy's showing that even though this is where he's at, and I mean, he shut down corruption. This is a guy that's an investigator, and I would probably hold him in a different place than I would just your standard Joe Schmo IRS agent that just puts his fucking Snap-on tie every day on him and thinks that he's out there doing what's right. This guy's he's using the IRS to take down criminals like Hunter Biden, and now Hunter Biden's just in the clear, and it clears Joe up too, because now they can say, oh well, look, they went after Hunter Biden too. They indicted him. Yet they're talking about prison time for Trump because he had 102 documents that he was legally allowed to have. He complied with whatever they wanted. And then they come up with this fucking 37 fucking page indictment. What a bunch of, what a joke. I mean, this just goes on and on. For me to get into it, it would take hours and hours of going through this. I would just encourage anybody that hears this, is interested, look it up. Take a stroll. Take a stroll through what's really going on. Don't just believe the bullshit. And maybe you don't even pay attention to news or politics. If you don't, that's fine. If you do, you got to look at it from different angles. I try to look at it from every angle. That's why I was telling you, I use All Sides as one of my news aggregators. A lot of times they're behind a little bit, but the thing I enjoy about it is they'll give you a view from the left, the center, and the right. And so you can look at things from all angles. And like I said the other night, just like anything, the truth always lies somewhere in the middle of things. It's not always that, Timmy and Johnny get in a fight on the playground. One of them says this, one of them says the other thing. Guess what? It's somewhere in the middle. They were each probably wrong. I mean, to get into a physical fight, typically, unless it's a matter of, standing up for somebody that's, getting physically accosted or assaulted, and you're stepping in to, stop that behavior. Typically, a fight between two individuals, there's some things that are wrong on each side. I mean, that's why growing up, my old man always told me, he's like, if you're going to get a fight, he goes, don't sit there and ticky-tack around about you hit me, you hit, he's like, if you know what's going to go down, you just throw the punch. He's like, you're going to get in trouble anyways. And that's kind of how I've always been. It's like, you're going to get down, let's get down. Just sit there. And I mean, there was nothing, when I used to be a little rambunctious, there's nothing I would love to hear somebody say, you don't know who you're messing with. As soon as somebody said that, I'd just take off on them. Whack! I mean, if you ever been punched in the fucking nose, you know what that, you get smacked in the nose. Smacked it, all of a sudden, things get blurry. You taste that blood running down your nose, you blink it and, fight's over. But, that's what these bullies do. These especially these bullies in politics. That's basically all they're doing, is playing that you don't know me fucking bullshit. And they're threatening these people. I mean, you read through these testimonies, and these people have been threatened. They've been told, that Paul Abbott, or whatever his name, the director, the assistant deputy director of the FBI, what a smarmy piece of shit. That dude has no humanity to him. Merrick Garland, what a worthless, smarmy fucking piece of trash. These people are all junk. If you knew these people in your own private life, if this was somebody that lived up the street from you, you'd be like, you'd drive by them every day. Look at that fucker, You'd be like, I don't even know who cares what he does, I can't even imagine trying to have a conversation with that Merrick Garland. I'd be like, get the fuck out of my face, you smarmy little fucking douchebag. All these people, you watch them, that Dan Goldman or whatever, Daniel Goldman, Jesus Christ. Ugh, God. I don't know, I probably would. I'd probably give him a fucking hamburger if he was starving to death or whatever, But I sure as hell wouldn't listen to him. But that never happened anyways, because he's an oligarch. He's an heir to the fucking Levi Strauss fortune, and made a bunch of fucking fake money on Wall Street. He's one of those guys. I guarantee that he's one of those cats. He's grabbed his wife by the elbow and let her out of a party when she's had a few too many wines, and I'm sure the parents of the Little League, they probably don't like him very much. His own kids probably can't stand him. I don't think he likes himself. I've watched his body language. I think he has self-loathing. I think most of these people do. I think that's why they do what they do, is because they can't stand themselves. And they think that somehow, some way, by playing these games, that they're going to absolve themselves from the things that they can't stand about themselves. But the fact of the matter is that's not how it works. It only makes it worse. I mean, I can't stand these people, but I feel for them too, because somehow, some way, they got themselves involved in this shit. They made a bad decision, and somebody was right there waiting for them to do that, and then they held it over their heads, and they were basically bribed into doing what they do. Most of these people, I think, they vote the way they vote. They do what they do, I think, because they've got shit hold over their heads, and the only way that they think that they can foreseeably get out of it is to just keep perpetuating the lie and keep doing what they're told, because they don't want to eat the truth. You know? That's what Jeffrey Epstein did. Why do you think he had that Chomo Island going on? Because he would manipulate and get these people to go down there and then present them with these, you know, these horrible taboo things that they could get away with down there, and then videotape it all, right? Fly them down there in luxury, you know, tempt them with little girls and little boys, videotape everything they did, and when it's time to go home, he's like, hey, guess what? When it comes time to vote next time, this is where you're going to vote. Otherwise, everybody in the world's going to see what you just did. You know? Why was there a picture of Bill Clinton in a dress? You know? I mean, it's what it is. You get involved in these circles with these people, and you see some of these younger representatives and senators get in the mix, and they come in and they've got conviction and they're ready to stand it. Look at Madison Cawthorn. Look what happened to him. He's out. He came out and talked about what was going on there, you know? And I mean, yeah, guess what, young man? You're out, dude. I mean, he was somebody they wanted in there. Young guy in a wheelchair, success story, blah, blah, blah. Fucking, you know, he comes out and says, you know, talks about the sexual deviance going on in D.C. with everybody. Guess what? He didn't get reelected, did he? People from his state liked him. He was gone. You're out, dude. Bye. You don't hear nothing from him anymore. Who knows what he's doing? You know, I mean, if you go in there and you've got conviction and you've got honor and you speak the truth, I mean, you know, you're not going to last too long. I mean, there's a handful that have, you know, you got like Jim Jordan and like I said, you got Rand Paul, and you've got, you know, guys like Grassley and Johnson. They've withstood the test. I can't think of many on the Democrat side that have. Who, Nadler? God, he's a annoying fucking, oh God. It's not even his appearance. I mean, he does look like Humpty Dumpty. He looks like somebody turned his pants around. He's got what I call the front butt. You know, when somebody's got front butt, it's like, no, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be judgmental on your appearance, but when you're that bad that you got front butt, when you've neglected yourself that much that you got front butt, that you look like one of those action figures that somebody just took and spun it around. Remember how I used to do that with like G.I. Joes? You turn them around and you laugh at them. Now I got a front butt. Yeah, if you got front butt, you got no respect for anybody else because you have no respect for yourself. I mean, come on. Yeah, sure. Okay, people struggle with weight. I've struggled with it my entire life. But guess what? I've never had front butt. Not even close. I mean, that guy hasn't seen his dicky do since, Jesus Christ, I don't even know when. But then on the other side of the fucking coin, I guess he's probably pretty hard to, you know, you can't really bribe him into anything with sexual favors when you can't find your thing. Sorry, not sorry. On that note, I don't want to leave you with that image. What else do I have on my notes? I don't know. I was going to talk about Hotez, but we don't need to get into that. That guy's a jackass. He's kind of funny, though, talking about, you know, being a medical, you know, professional. And the guy's like overweight, you know, unshaven, ratty hair, horrible dresser, eats junk food, and he's going to tell you what kind of needle you need to stick in your arm. Also, folks, I'm gonna say this. I would look into Robert F. Kennedy Jr. if you're gonna vote, even if you're a fucking Republican. I mean, this could be a time to jump over to the other side of the fence and vote for a Democrat, because RFK, this guy, he's got to be careful too. He's got to watch what he's doing, because I would hate to see him end up like his father or his uncle. But, I mean, the things that he's coming out and saying right now, he's ruffling some feathers. Big time. Big time. Big Pharma hates him. The Democratic Party hates him. They don't like him. You know, the deep state does not like him whatsoever. And that's a bad place to be. But, I mean, I guess I'd rather end up dead and be on that side of the fence than have sold myself out. And, I mean, you're going to end up dead anyways, one way or another. Everybody is. So why spend your life being a sellout? Doing things that you don't believe in, doing things that you know are wrong. You're going to die one way or the other. That's what I don't understand, is what these people, what are they hoping to gain? What do they hope to gain by oppressing everybody else so they can live a life of luxury? At what cost? At what cost? I don't get it. I'd rather be miserable, or I'd rather be poor and in the gutter than be a rich fucking liar, because at the end of the whole thing, you know, everybody goes out. I've watched it happen in the cities, you know. Got a guy with nothing. He's got a guitar case, got a guitar, he's sitting there, dirty, disheveled, stinky. He's buskering for change, laughing, smiling. And you see some guy in his three-piece suit with his briefcase, you know, go, you know, strutting by and look at him and give him a shitty look. You know that guy's going in the high-rise building. He's going in there to his board meeting to fucking lie. He's stressed to the gills. His wife's cheating on him. He's cheating on her. You know, kids are on drugs. You know, rotten home life. Got everything everybody would want, right? All the money, all the cars, nice fucking house. And the guy sitting on the street corner with no place to lay his head at night, buskering for change with his guitar, singing fucking songs, has got a smile on his face. He's going to go to bed wherever his head falls that night. And he's going to wake up in the same squalor the next morning, but he's going to be happy because at least he's true to himself. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that, you know? I mean, once you sell yourself out, you know, it's like that thing where you tell enough lies that you end up believing the lies. The lies become your truth. And then when it slaps you in the face, it's kind of hard to come back from, you know. Look at people like the Clintons. I mean, boy. I mean, I don't necessarily, you know, I'm not religious. But what goes around comes around, and it eventually does for everybody, one way or another. One way or another, it does for everybody, because we all have the same end. Nobody, you know, regardless of the lies that you tell or whatever you think that you're doing in this life, that's going to make you come up and, you know, have the things that you think you want. At the end of the day, you're walking dead just like everybody else. We're all dead already. I mean, you know, you can think this, that, or the other thing, but you're going out just like I am. We all are. So what's the point of getting over and lying and pulling this bullshit? You got to ask yourself that. Why do these people want to run for these offices? I mean, are these even people? Do they have any consciousness? Do they have any kind of a soul? Do they have any kind of, you know, any kind of a barometer of right and wrong, of good and bad? You know, you've got these fuckers all want to talk about gun control and this and that and the other thing, yet they allocate all this money to send these weapons of destruction. And mercenaries, basically, our military, that, I mean, you're sending the young people over to these fucking pointless fucking wars, and yet that's okay. That's defending freedom. What about these third world countries that they're like, look at the fucking Iraqi people. How many? Over 1 million innocent people dead. For what? To what end? To what end? Look at what's going on in Syria. The Syrian people. I tell you what, I watched a documentary about Syria the other day, and I mean, it almost had tears in my eyes to watch the way that the people in these, oh God, these shelled out cities, places just absolutely obliterated. And they had this attitude of love and just joy, and they're living in rubble. They've watched their loved ones be blown to bits, carried bits and pieces of them to a grave, unmarked graves, mass pit graves. I mean, they've been through atrocities, and these people are the most kind and loving, and you can just see the joy in them, and you're looking around watching this thing, and I'm going, oh my God, these are amazing people. And here they are, they're the subjects of these rich countries because we want their fucking oil. You know, and because they're from some place that nobody knows about, you know, they don't matter. I'd like to go there, to tell you the truth. I would love to go over there. And I mean, it would be gut wrenching, but I mean, after watching that documentary, I was just like, holy shit. I can't remember the name of it, but if you have a chance, I would look it up. If you're into, I mean, you want to talk about the human spirit and the ability to forgive and to still be decent to each other and to still care. It was a French dude. I can't remember his name that did it was a great documentary. I'll see if I can find a link to it, maybe put it under the bottom of this thing. But if you have a chance, I'd watch that. I mean, that's humanity right there. These politicians can talk about this, that, and the other fucking thing. They're all full of shit. They're there for one reason, is to perpetuate themselves. And that's it. They're all liars. They're all full of shit, except for a handful of them. And even then, you don't know what's behind it, I mean, none of us really know. I mean, all I know is that the guy behind the curtain's a fucking jerk. I mean, they all have somebody's fucking hand up their ass like a sock puppet. And that's why I say walk away from it. And that's kind of my answer to it. But yet you still got to know that it's there. And that's the catch-22 of that. I mean, you can't walk away from something without acknowledging that it's there. And I would like people to just acknowledge that, look at this. Like, this isn't what you think it is. What you've been told and what is reality are two different things. And you got to put in the work to figure that out. Or you don't. You can continue your life and just wandering around. They say ignorance is bliss. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm trying not to be ignorant, even though I probably am. Anyway, that's it. I'm out of here. From 52 miles east of Jellystone Park out of Coyote, Wyoming. You've been tuned into the Mike Files. And be good or be good at it. In all things be kind. And do no harm. Later days, Willie Mays.